All right, guys, I think we're ready to start. So, everybody, welcome to the session. This is the second session what we're actually having, but then the last session was pretty much an introductory session. So, this is the first session we're having about the new to programming track. So, the guys who have attended, how many of you have attended the previous session? You can raise your hand so that we just have a count. So yeah, the ones who attended the previous session know that there are actually two tracks that you can go about: the new to programming track and the prior experience track. So the ones who are completely new to Kotlin and want to understand uh, Kotlin and then start developing apps, you're going to go about the new to programming track, and that's the track that we're going to be looking at today. And yeah, so let's get started with it. And so in this thing, so the basic prerequisites that this particular track or this session today will going to require is to have basic computer literacy, math skills, and a computer, and proper internet connection. And also, it is highly recommended to have an Android device and a USB cable, so that you don't have processing issues or computation power issues. So yeah, there are three questions that you need to answer whenever you go into any session, right? So in this session, we'll try to answer these three main particular questions, and then more about the entire session. So why are you here? So for anybody in this session, if you're new to Kotlin and you want to understand Kotlin and you want to start developing in Kotlin, and then you also want to participate in the Android study camp sessions and go ahead and earn your certificates and your badges. That's the main intention of this particular session. And what the goals of this session is to have finish three pathways out of the four pathways of the first track, out of the five pathways, I believe. So yeah, out of the five pathways, we're going to finish three pathways out of the on of the first track, and tomorrow we'll be doing the other two pathways. And so yeah, by the end of the session, you'll be completing three of five pathways of the first track. And yeah, how do you plan to achieve them? We're going to do it. You can either follow along with me as I'm going to demonstrate in this session today, or you can listen to it and then go back and then do it in your own pace and come back tomorrow and share your experience, and we can clear doubts and all that. So anybody over here has already, so after the introductory session, has anybody gone ahead and tried to uh, go ahead and do the tracks? Anybody, and if any one of you, if you can unmute yourself and share your experience, it would be great. Or you can just raise your hand so that we have a count of people who tried to do the course. And yeah, okay, right. We have a few people. Great, great. So, were you guys facing any hurdles and anything like that in the thing? So we'll have a Q&A session anyways, so that we can go ahead and answer your questions in that particular thing. So yeah, what are the learning objectives of this particular thing is to build your first Android applications and set up Android Studio on your computer and learn the basics of the Kotlin programming language, and get the resources to continue learning about everything else. So the time, so basically we are a bit off schedule because of the time it took to people to join up. So this is basically the blueprint that we had. So we first have the presentation, and then we go about the first pathway, the second, and the third, and then we can celebrate and have a Q&A session at the end. So this basics to Kotlin course. So there are two units in this course. The first unit consists of the first three pathways, the first four pathways, and the second unit consists of the two other pathways. So what is a pathway? It is basically something like a schedule that you have, or you can say tasks that you need to follow and complete, and then earn a badge at the end of the pathway. And then you'll also have a quiz to test how much you've understood. It's basically very easy, and it's just for self-understanding, and there's nothing very difficult about it. So you can just take the quiz and then earn a badge. So yeah, once you finish that quiz, after getting a minimum percentage, you earn your badge on your Google Developer profile. and yeah, you can show them off in on LinkedIn and all other social media platforms. So these how it look. So your name and then your badges out there. So let's see the concepts. So the first pathway, there'll be three pathways that we're going to be covering today. And the first pathway will be more like exploring the Kotlin playground. So Google has created this thing called Kotlin Playground, which is basically an online compiler and an IDE interface for Kotlin. So we're going to be learning how to use that and write code on it. And then we'll also be using Android Studio, which is the official tool to build Android applications. There are other ways to do it as well, but then Android Studio is the most comfortable and most recommended one. So yeah, and then we'll also try to understand how to use an Android emulator. I personally don't prefer this because it takes up a lot of computation power, and we'll try to see if we have time. If we have time, we'll go ahead and try to use the Android emulator, or we'll try to stick to running the application on a physical device. We'll also learn about user interfaces, so creating layouts or basic things like that. Yeah, so user interfaces and then layouts, and so we'll learn what are layouts, what are views, and things like that. Right. So there are different kind of things. There's a text view, there's an image view, and there's a button, and all of this. So let's get started. So these are the first pathways. The first pathways these are the three things that we're going to go about it. And yeah, I'll just send over this link to you guys or in the chat, and you can all of you guys can go ahead and open this up. Let's try to make this an interactive session, and just let me know if you guys are in this particular page. Um, just raise your hand if you're in this page, and we can go about it. You can probably have two tabs open and listen to the session here. Right, that's great to see people raising hands. Great. So the first thing that you do is to sign up because you need to save your progress. And so the first thing you do is go and sign in. And I'd recommend you guys to sign in with your personal email ID so that you have this progress for a long time after you leave college as well. So once you sign up for it and you sign in with your Google ID, I think you'll get a thing, what is it, a toast kind of a thing to create a profile. And if you just click on that, it will create your Google developer profile, and you can get started. So if you click on Explore here and click on Android Basics, here you will see a toast somewhere here, I believe, which says create your profile first before you get started. So uh, you just click on that, and then it will create your Google developer profile where your badges will be stored, and you can save them for a lifetime. So everybody created their profiles. Anybody, one of you can unmute and then, or you can again raise your hands if you've created the profile and you're ready to get started. Right. Great, great. So yeah, so these are a few optional videos which you can see. Right now, I'm already here to instruct you over it, so I see the necessity of viewing these videos. But there you can definitely come ahead and try to view these videos later on. So Google has this thing called a code lab, which is basically an interface where you can easily go ahead and follow up with. Can you please tell again how to? Yeah, sure. So when you come on this particular page, I believe you will see a toast here, or some kind of a message here, which will say create your profile to get started. If you see that, you can just click on that, and it will create your profile. There's no, there's nothing in particular to do. You just have to click on a button, and it will give you a badge as well. So to confirm, you can go here and like see if your badge has been sent out. Is one of any core team member here who is just created the profile? Core team members, anybody here? Yeah, so you were able to create the profile, right? Okay, great. Uh, 20 BC, I mean, Tejasvi, you can ask Yogita about it if you're not able to. Okay, so you click on this Take Code Lab button here, and then it'll take you to this interface where you can start about from this first task to the last task. So you can go before you begin. You can read these instructions. Then there's a run your first program. So this is the Kotlin playground link. So if you just click on it, it will take you to this particular page, which is Kotlin playground. And here, this is again a online IDE or basically an online compiler where you can run your code. And there are a few tasks it says to perform. So there is so it teaches you about what functions are and all of this. So I will just have a quick run through of what this particular track is going to teach you. So what is a function, right? So it's going to teach you about what functions are, how to handle errors, and how to print things on the code on in Kotlin. So there's a so in Kotlin, many of you would have already started on learning with Java and any of the programming languages. So you must always observe that there is always a main function that runs first, right? So you go into so there is something called so the keyword to create a function is fun in Kotlin, and you say fun and main in parentheses, which is basically the main function, and this is the function that gets executed first when your program starts. So it says function main, and then open curly braces, and then print ln hello world. So what does print ln do is that it prints with a new line at the end. So if you click on run, it's going to say hello world, right? And then now if I again copy and then paste this here, I'll say hello DSC VIT-AP. Now what's going to happen is that it's going to print hello world, go to a new line because you have specified ln. It's going to go to a new line, and then it's going to print hello DSC VIT-AP. Okay, so you can print out anything you want inside this, and that is what this particular um, first tracks tells all about. So this is the final solution code, which says happy birthday, and then this it also talks about how to handle errors. So if you see here, if I don't send it inside these quotes, now as you all know, very basics of programming is that so now if I run this, it's not going to work because it says it's an unresolved reference, which is hello. What is an unresolved reference? It means that there's nothing called hello existing. But actually, hello world DSC, hello DSC VIT-AP is a string at the end of the day, right? So you need to pass a string. So to denote that something is a string, you put it inside quotes like this, and then you can go about printing it, right? I'm not elaborating a lot on what are strings and all of that because I believe you guys have finished one semester, and then I mean we have second years, third years as well, and this is very basics of programming. I believe you guys can relate to this. You've also done this in your colleges and schools previously. So yeah, and then yeah, so this is what this particular track is all about, and then you can just click on done, and this code lab will be finished. Similarly, and then you can take the quiz, and you need to score about, I think 50% is the minimum criteria, which is a very easy target. So you just take the quiz and you finish this thing. I'll pause in the middle somewhere down the line so you guys can catch up. And till then, I'll continue about going to the next pathway. So I think after finishing that, you will be getting uh, a badge. So as you can see, I have completed it, and then I got this particular badge here. So like that, you'll get different badges, and then give me a sec. So this is what the first thing was. So everybody is in this screen. You finished this uh, the first one. Is there anybody who's facing troubles in this? You can raise your hand. Okay, great. So this was the first code lab which we did, write your first program. Now we're going to go ahead and do the second one, which is create a birthday message. So we'll click on take code lab in here. It's going to again explain you different other different stuff about. So this is what we completed last time. So now here it's going to teach you about variables. So again, let's have a quick run through of what variables are. So all of you know, I mean, in any programming language, there is something called variable, and variables are basically they're I mean they are values that can change throughout the program, which are stored in a particular location or with a reference. So if you say val is the keyword used to create a variable. So val age 5, that means this particular variable is created with the name of val. So now if I want to create that variable here, I would say val age is equal to 5, right? So now age is a variable that has been created, and then 5 is the value stored inside that variable. And if you want to access this variable, you access it by saying so print ln. If you want to use that variable, you can just say age plus 5. You can just do it. Age is equal to age plus 5. So this is how you usually use variables. And then if you want to print out that variable, you say print ln. And then as you can see here also in this there's instructions given everywhere. So again, you say dollar and use brackets. So you say the age is, and then you say plus age. So let's see if this gives out an error. And if it does, then we can write. So the value cannot be reassigned. It says it is expecting an element here. So let's see what wrong is it. So the problem was with using the symbol plus. So in Kotlin, it's not like other languages where you will have to use plus or anything like that to add concatenate the strings. What you can do is you can just put them inside these quotes itself, and you can just print them out. All right, so it is saying that the variable val cannot be reassigned because we've already assigned it once. We can only add them. So let's try to print it out directly. Right. So now you can see that age is equal to is 5. So this is how you access variables. And so similarly, it tries to do another thing. So it tries another variable, which is a string of the type string. So if you say this, if you have another variable of say rover, and you store it in name, you can again access that here. And name is and percentage and that, and then you see. Okay. So again, this will reference to what is here, and whatever is inside it is going to get printed out over here, which is what has happened. All right. Right. So this was about, and again, you can go ahead and then check all of this and then see how things are being added. So here, another thing which is being used is functions with parameters, you can say. So like let's say over here, a function is being created with the parameter int with the parameter age, which is of the type int. So if you people who code in Java can relate to it, saying if you say int age, then a parameter of type of the name age is being sent out with the parameter int. So in Kotlin, this is the syntax to do so. And so again, it's being said like, this particular function has this particular parameter called age, and then repeat is basically looping. So you loop it for these many number of times. So if you say repeat 5, then whatever is inside these braces will be repeated for 5 times. So this, let's see where this is being called. So this is being called here. And if you say, if you have an age of 24 and you pass 24 to it, this particular equal to will be printed out for 24 plus 2 times, which is 26 times. And when you say only print, it does not go to the next line. It stays in the same line. And then when you say print ln, whatever you print, it prints and then goes to the next line. Right? So I expect all you guys to go ahead and then figure out and solve these as well. And it's a very simple thing. I won't be going ahead and doing everything. That will be pretty much giving out the solution. So I'll try to restrict myself towards that. And so I hope you guys understood the concepts of functions in Kotlin and also the variables. So this is how variables are created, and then this is the main function. And if you want to create other functions, you just say fun, and then you call it anything you want. So like hello, and then if you want to have parameters which needs to be passed, so you can say a parameter like n, and you need to say what type of parameter it is. So if it's an integer, and then you can do whatever. So if you want to print that particular integer, so you say print ln, and you print that integer n this way. So this is how you access variables. So if you want to do this for multiple number of times, so let's say you say repeat, and then how many times you want to repeat? You want to repeat n times, and then you do that and do it here. And then now this particular hello needs to be called in your main function. So to call it in your main function, you just say hello again and pass a variable to it, or a integer directly. So here, let's say we pass age to it. Then what's going to happen is that this function is called, and age is the value of age is stored inside n. So value of age is 5, and then it says repeat 5 times. So this number, whatever we passed will be printed out 5 times. Okay. So yeah, in this particular code lab, it teaches you how to create a beautiful birthday message with cakes and layered cakes and something like this. I'll just show it to you somewhere here. So they also give you the solution code as well. So yeah, so it's something like this. So you can create a cake like this by printing out statements multiple times, and you can create candles and fun things like that. So yeah, just go ahead and explore this particular code lab, and it's going to be fun. So if you can complete this code lab yourself, then you're pretty much done with understanding what functions are and how the repeat loop works. Right, so this is about this particular code lab. So again, you can take a quiz after this and earn your badge. And so we'll see the next one. Right. So are people following up till here? We'll have a Q&A session soon, so that you can go ahead and ask more questions if you have any. So this was the unit 1's first pathway. The second pathway is about creating your own first application. So this is very basics of Android Studio, and how to download Android Studio and how to install Android Studio. I won't be opening these code labs because it is just instructions of how you can download Android Studio and go about like where you can download it, how to install it, and if you're a Mac user, if you're an Android user, I mean, so if you're a Windows user, so how to go ahead the setups and all of that. So this was this particular lab, and the next one we're having a very basic run through, guys. So if you face any troubles later on, you can ask in the WhatsApp group, or you can contact me directly. So this was the creator of first application. We have a little more time before we can move and try out this pathway. Um, so is there anybody having any doubts or anything? You can unmute yourself or ask in the chat. I mean, I really hope this was an offline session so that we could, go ahead and come and see your screens and monitor or track how you guys are doing. But yeah. So how many of you have followed up till here? Just raise your hands. Okay, great, 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 great. That's nice. All right, all right. Okay, guys. So we'll go about this build basic layout lab, and this will be the last code lab for today's session. Um, so yeah, so let's go ahead with this. Even I'm doing this particular code lab for the first time, and this is the only, I think, a kind of more hands-on lab. So I thought let's do it with you guys and go about it. So this is where we'll actually open Android Studio and try to add in images and things like that. So what are we building? So we are trying to build this particular application which says happy birthday card and happy birthday Sam from Emma, something like that. So now how do we set up this? So let's open up our Android Studio. Oh wait. Right. So we click on new project and so sorry for that, guys. Right. We click on new project and we click on you can say empty activity, right? And you click. So let's try to follow the instructions what they've given here, right? So we try to create with empty activity, and then we call it happy birthday application. And we so what is an SDK? So what is a minimum SDK? It's basically choosing what is a minimum requirement. I mean, for your application to run on a particular OS, what is the minimum version would you like to choose? So would you like to start off with KitKat or very earlier versions of Android, or do you want to have a basic minimum requirement of something like Marshmallow or a higher version? So let's go and then create this, right? So let's choose our minimum version to be anything. You can start. Okay, let's choose KitKat, and it says 98% of the devices support it. And the language we're going to use here is Java, and not. I mean, is Kotlin and not Java. So you click on finish, and yeah, so it opens up this new application window, and we'll just wait for it to. So here you can see that it's scanning the files and indexing and creating all your project files. So we'll also look at what the project structure of a basic Android application is. And yeah, let this just load up. You guys can also open up your Android Studio and create a new empty activity and name it anything. So it's going to download some resources of Kotlin if required. And So if you guys have any questions in the meantime, you can ask. And I also hope everybody here has joined the WhatsApp group so that you'll get updates of uh, things, and then you can also ask questions there and get it clarified. You can send out screenshots, or if you're stuck in middle of something, you can send screenshots and ask how we can solve that particular problem. And the core team will be readily available to help you guys with it. I'm not sure why this is taking longer than expected, but just wait for a second. So till then, we'll have a run through of what needs to be done. Yeah. So here it's talking about what the different user interfaces are. So everything in Android which you write in the XML file or the layout files is a view. So everything has been extended from a class called view. Inherited from a class called view. So this there are different types of views. There's a text view, there's an image view, and things like that. And these views are placed inside something called view groups, and these view groups are of different types, like a linear layout, a constraint layout, things like that. Every layout has its own feature or ability or things like that. So if you have a linear layout, then everything is placed in either horizontal fashion or in vertical fashion. If you have a constraint layout, then everything is based on constraints. So you can say this particular view should be in the left of this particular view, or in the right of this particular view, or in the center of this particular view. So you have constraints for them. So they're dependent on other views of that particular view group, and then they rearrange themselves. But in a linear layout, they are all always stacked. So they're always stacked horizontally or always stacked vertically or things like that. So in Android Studio, there is a layout editor, and I think it's opened up. Right, we're good to go. Okay, so it opened up. So this is, I'll just go through the project structure. So how it looks is that there is a main app folder, and inside this there is the manifest folder, and then there's the Java folder, and then there's the resources folder. So inside the manifest folder, there's basically only one file initially, which is the Android manifest, and this contains all the details of how many activities exist in your application, what the details of how the functioning of that particular activity is. So let's say here, so first we have this application tag, which contains all the activities. So this my application has a label of my application, and then there is the style which I'm using is having the theme of this application itself, and then there is a icon which needs to be specified here. And inside this application tag, we specify the number of activities we have. So right now we have only one activity. So any screen that you see, so screens basically are activities. So anything you see on Android is the first layout is an activity. Every screen is an activity, and there's only one activity in this particular application, which is the main activity. And yeah, what are intent filters? We will understand that later on in the advanced course probably. So basically, intent filters are like, what are the so we'll go ahead with that in the advanced course, I guess. Explaining anything now would probably confuse you guys. And so this one says that it's the main activity, and that's the first activity which it needs to open, and it is the first activity which launches as soon as the app launches. Right. So you can also specify things like orientation. If you want to, confine it to only portrait, only landscape, and all of that kind of details you can specify in this particular manifest file. So manifest file basically has all the rules, or you can say details of all the things that are happening in this application. So now there's the main activity.kt, which is .kt is the extension for Kotlin files. So this is the main activity, and there's a class, and on create is the first function that is called as soon as the activity is launched. So there's something called an activity life cycle, where first one of the first things after on resume, the first thing that's called is on create, and one second. Right. So here is where you will have to specify all of that. You can read about this and all the documentations inside the course as well. We are running a little short of time, so I'm not going in depth and explaining each of these concepts. So yeah, let's go about the layout editor, which is shown here. So in this layout editor, you can see there's a split view and a design view. So in the split view, you can code as well as you can design, but in the design view, you can only drag and drop elements and design them. So you say text view, and then these are the constraints. This is following a constraint layout. So it has different constraints. So it's saying it's in the bottom of the parent. Parent is basically the entire screen. So it says its bottom is to the bottom of the parent. Its left is to the left of the parent. So all these are constraints what are given to this particular text view. And if I want to add another view, let's say I want to add another text view, or I want to add image view. So I can say image view, and then go ahead and I can again, wrap content is to fill in how much the size of the image is, how much width it should take, all that. And this image, as you can see, can be, it can, you can also specify different constraints for it. Let's copy these constraints and put them in this. So it's going to overlap, but it's fine. So now this image view got added. So here is the image view. Because I've not put any content inside it, it does not have a height and width. If you want to go ahead and drag and drop elements, let's say you want to drag and drop a button, so you can just drag and drop a button here. It's going to automatically take constraints, and then it's going to be ready to use. So each of them have an ID, and you can reference that in your main code and then use it there. So we learn about that in the next session, how you can reference and then use them and all that. You can read all these and you can design this layout, and you can also put in. So now the task over here was to put in this happy birthday, and you can style it with whatever you want. And a GitHub repository is also directly available to get in the solution for this. And you can pull in that. I mean, you can, I think, clone it and see what the solution for it is. You can just go to file and import project, and you can import it from GitHub using this link, and it's going to be available for you guys. So after all of this is done, you can just click on done, and you can take your quiz and again accept this badge. Okay. So if you get stuck anywhere, you guys can again reach out to us on the WhatsApp group, or you can reach out to me personally on any platform, LinkedIn, Instagram, anything. And yeah, so this was a session. You guys have any questions which you would like to be answered right now? If you have any doubts, you can ask them. And if everything goes, if it's all good, then you can start. Anyone has any doubts?
Yeah, sir. Not a doubt, but just a
Yeah.
query I had.
Sure, sure.
Sir, in this club, we are basically going to do with only Kotlin, or we'll be using Java also.
So we'll have different campaigns throughout the year. So right now, what campaign we're dealing with is the Android Study Jam session campaign, which is dealing with Kotlin. So probably in the coming in the next probably in January or something, we'll have another machine learning campaign, or different various campaigns that's going to be spread across the entire year for you to have experience with everything. Uh, on if on demand, we'll also have a Java course as well to help you guys out. But
Yeah.
in this study jam sessions that's going to be happening today and tomorrow, I mean, which happened today and tomorrow, and also another one in January for the so today tomorrow also we'll be covering the new to programming track as well itself, and in January,
Yeah, sir.
yeah.
To be honest, I just want to say that I don't have any ideas about campaigns. Can you just elaborate what it is?
Okay,
It's
so
completely new to me.
sure. So a campaign is basically you can say events, right? So so this Android campaign is happening for 2 months, where you're going to learn about coding with Kotlin. and developing Android applications. So in these 2 months, we'll be conducting events related to this particular topic only, and giving you introductions and clearing doubts and all that.
Oh, okay, sir. I got it.
In Android Studio, we can also use Java.
Yes, you can, but right now we are focusing on Kotlin only. And as Google is also making Kotlin first, Android to be Kotlin first, and all dependencies will be updated faster and earlier for Kotlin than Java in the near future. It's recommended to start off with Kotlin and understand Kotlin.
Up to when this program will continue, bro?
It's going to happen till January 25th.
January.
So yeah, you have time till January 25th to finish both the tracks. And if you finish both the tracks, then you will be getting a certification. But if you finish only one track, then you'll be getting the badges and all of that.
So track means.
We've sent you
Uh,
all the details on mail, buddy. You can
Oh,
just check the
yeah,
mail
yeah.
that
Okay, sir.
we sent
there will be
you.
no certificate for single course, bro.
For the single one, there will be no certificate, but then you'll get the badges, right, which you can show off on any social media platform, and it's also Google authorized. So that's the thing. If you finish
Can
the
we
second,
show it on LinkedIn?
yes,
LinkedIn
yes,
platform.
yes, you definitely can.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll just give it over to Wade. He has a few things to speak out, and then we can end the
Yeah,
session.
yeah. Thank you for the question, Akhilesh. Thank you for joining us, all of you. I just had one request. Like when you all join a session, right? It would be great if you could. I'll tell you. Wait just a second.
Wade, I'll stop the recording.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.